The purpose of this critique is to see if the accuracy of the step counter would change with the speed of movement. For example, maybe running would shake the device too many times and count these as extra steps, and with the addition of the most accurate location for the Fitbit on the wrist versus the ankle. For example, does wearing it on the ankle rather than the wrist during a walk or run keep a more accurate step count? I've used a Fitbit for the majority of my adult life to track my steps, heart rate and general fitness levels in comparison with other users, my age and gender, but I've recently upgraded to the Charge 5, so I was interested to use this assessment to test out the accuracy of the step counter. My personal goal for each day is to reach 10,000 steps, and according to Fitbit upon the setup, my walking stride is 68.1 centimeters, while my running stride is 91.4 centimeters. To measure the stride length, the Fitbit uses a 3-axis accelerometer to determine duration, intensity, and patterns of movement. Using this information, it should take me approximately 74 steps to walk 50 meters and 51 steps to run it. To test out the accuracy, I walked 50 meters 3 times to get an average step count on the Fitbit with it on my right wrist, and then the same with it on my right ankle, followed by 3 50-meter runs with it on my right wrist, and then again on my right ankle. I was taking note of the number of steps on my Fitbit before and after the walks and runs to get the step count, and I also counted my steps allowed during the movements. I also recorded the activity by video to be able to count after the fact if need be. The accuracy differences between the test averages, I used the mean percentage of error, or MPE. To work out the MPE, the manual count was used as the experimental value and the actual value was the Fitbit step count, as that's what's being tested for accuracy. The equation for MPE is as follows. Figure 1 contains the results of my 3 50-meter walks and 3 50-meter run lengths. As shown in Figure 1, using the Fitbit Charge 5 on my right wrist had a better average accuracy during the walk. The differences in the averages of the results were very close between the manual count and having the Fitbit on my wrist for the walk, but vastly different for the run across all the factors. The MPE for the run with the Fitbit on my right wrist was the highest, meaning the accuracy was very wide off the mark. Looking back on the recordings of movements, it could be due to my different arm movements during the running, as I tend to swing my arms quite a lot when I'm walking, so this might have confused the device that I wasn't moving as normal, and because I was running, my stride length would have also been different to track, adding to the confusion and reducing my step count. Figure 2 contains the results of MPE for stride length accuracy. The table in Figure 2 reflects my Fitbit's currently set measurements of my walking stride length. It's only slightly incorrect as it's just above my recorded test averages. However, my running stride length is vastly different to what is recorded by my Fitbit. The walking stride MPE did not have huge differences as they were all within the 60 centimeter range, but the MPE for running stride length did not allow for an accurate step count. Another test that could be done following this would be to redo the test after calibration has been done on the device ahead of the new testing. This, however, should not be required as the device is designed to update your stride lengths using the onboard GPS automatically. My Fitbit app did not seem to update my stride lengths after this activity, so a possible complete reset of the device may be required. Reed and et al. In 2017 concluded in their study of the validity and accuracy of various Fitbit devices that after testing the accuracy of step counts and other features of the Fitbit devices, that they did need to do improvement on the user participation in vigorous exercises, which is what I experienced in my own results during the run portion. Too much movement seems to complicate the device's programming and alter the results. Interestingly, Tedesco et al. In 2019, during their study, found that the Fitbit Charge 2, granted that it is an earlier edition in comparison to the device I'm using in my experiment, tended to overcount the steps with a mean percentage error of about 12.36%, in comparison to a Garmin VivoSmart HR Plus and an Actigraph GT9X-BT. This result was also concluded in Keating et al.'s study in 2019 when they compared the valid use of a Fitbit Charge 2 in a controlled environment versus a college physical education setting. The Fitbit's accuracy was reliable in the controlled setting, but they would not recommend it in an environment with irregular movements. My personal results in comparison were not so different, which is what I was expecting, as the device relies on movement to count steps. Therefore, lack of or reduced movement can alter results, the same with too much movement and swing of the arms. In another written paper, interestingly, Tedesco et al. In 2019, during their study, found that the Fitbit Charge 2, granted that it is an earlier edition in comparison to the device I'm using in my experiment, tended to overcount the steps with a mean percentage error of about 12.36%, in comparison to a Garmin VivoSmart HR Plus and an Actigraph GT9X-BT. This result was also concluded in Keating et al.'s study in 2019 when they compared the valid use of a Fitbit Charge 2 in a controlled environment versus a college physical education setting. The Fitbit's accuracy was reliable in the controlled setting, but they would not recommend it in an environment with irregular movements. My personal results in comparison were not so different, which is what I was expecting, as the device relies on movement to count the steps. Therefore, lack of extreme or reduced movement can alter the results. In another paper written by Chow et al. In 2017, placement of the tracking device also was shown to alter accuracy, and they found the most accurate step count was recorded when the device was placed at the waist. This shows that the stability of the trunk of the body assists in reducing extra movements and keeping movement standardized instead of distal placement at the limbs, like the ankle or the wrist. In general, the Fitbit Charge is very useful as it contains a lot of features in addition to the step counter, such as measuring your active and resting heart rate, cardio fitness score, breathing rate, blood oxygen tracking, sleep features, and stress management features, and all of it can be synced on your phone through an app or online via your Fitbit dashboard. All the details recorded by the device are kept, and trends are made to help predict and improve the user's health, such as sleep patterns, stress levels, heart rate changes, and cardio fitness levels. It's also easy for anyone to use at home or for low impact sport, as the apps and functions are easy to access, use, and understand. And because it is a watch, everyday wear is simple, but for vigorous professional sports, it would not be accurate enough. In comparison to other technologies on the market, the Fitbit Charge 5 would be classed as a mid to low level cost, as it currently sits at about $269.95 from the Fitbit Australia's website. It can be purchased from other popular technology stores such as JB Hi-Fi, Harvey Norman, Big W for a similar price, but in contrast, the price of a standard basic pedometer, which can be from $5 upwards from Amazon, depending on the brand. In comparison to other technologies on the market, the Fitbit Charge 5 would be classed as a mid to low level cost, as it currently sits at about $269.95 from the Fitbit Australia's website. It can be purchased from other popular technology stores such as JB Hi-Fi, Harvey Norman, Big W for a similar price, but in contrast, the price of a standard basic pedometer, which can be from $5 upwards from Amazon, depending on the brand. However, the Fitbit would be the most beneficial for counting steps alone, as a problem with the standard basic pedometers is that they use a lever arm inside the device which bounces up and down as you move to count your steps. This leaves for extra movements to affect accurate readings should the device be shaken while the user isn't even walking or running. They are also unable to use distance or intensity to measure your steps more correctly, amongst other measurements such as calorie used, heart rate, and other features available on the Charge 5, as the technology is just too basic.